Exactly. We're live and we are alive. And I was just mentioning that you look very refreshed today,
Thank
and
you.
we're singing when we
Oh, it's just
connected.
mad.
That's a good sign.
Yeah, yeah, or manic, but yeah, I think yeah, I was I do feel a little bit painful because I've been doing those new exercises and and the plank and yeah, yeah. So
I
it's
think the
been
plank is quite difficult, isn't it?
yeah,
Even
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
sustaining it for 2 minutes. I know that I do not for months since Corona. There
Yeah.
are like an app, 7 minutes app, they're called. And I try to do it at least once a day. And in those 7 minutes, the plank exercise is the main one. So it's in every exercise unit, and it increases in repetitions. And
Mm.
it's amazing how even in a short period of 7 minutes, you can still very effectively train all the main muscles of the body.
Oh, what is its name?
It's called 7 minutes workout. It's for free. It's an app. And it has got like the 30 days or like a
Trial.
challenge, which you do, and it
And I
increases and has got different levels like
oh, 7 minute
beginners.
workout free.
Sorry?
7 minute workout free.
Yes, that's the one.
That one.
It's a green. Yes, that's the one.
So is it the one with the? So you've got two 7 minute ones. Which one is it? The top one or the bottom one?
The top one.
Then I'll get it.
There you go. So I will think of you when I'm doing my planks.
Well, I'm glad. I mean, it's interesting. I used to do the plank, and then I think a lot of processing has been happening during COVID for me, and as for so many people.
Yeah.
And I think that part of it was really starting to. I needed to find space, and there was a lot of stuff going on. And now it's getting back into that space where I'm now doing all the things that I used to do but haven't done. So it's kind of like there was a space of not doing, and now there's going back into the space of doing. So yeah.
Mm. Well, I certainly miss my gym because I'm in a
Mm,
local gym here for years since we moved here.
yeah.
So I really miss the group. I mean, you grow together. I've been doing yoga there for years, yes,
Yeah.
and do my muscles like training and everything. So I had my certain exercises during the week, minimum of 3 times, and I
All
miss it
right.
obviously a lot because it's different to motivate yourself at home. But nevertheless, like you mentioned, we need to adjust. It's different, but it's still important to find our exercises times because we need to stay in the movement. Otherwise, we get
Yeah.
stuck down here, and the body very quickly, loses muscles, and we start to get tired, like pains all over the place and everything. So I
Well, I've been
think,
very lucky. I haven't had any of that, but I have realized quite a lot that there is stuff that needs to shift. And although lots of stuff has shifted, there's more, as always, and it really is about going back, realigning. And I think that certainly after Christmas, I am going to do a proper fast kind of. I will do a 7 day fast or something like that until New Year, and
mm,
focus then with more intention on everything else. So I think that that's because it's quite hard to fast over Christmas.
true.
New Year is not such a biggie for me, but Christmas is normally when you're with family and you eat a lot. So yeah, not that that's going to happen this year because we're not with them, which is
Mm,
interesting. Yeah, really interesting. It's going
that's
to be
also
an
very different.
interesting Christmas.
Can you not visit up until 10 people at least?
Well,
Oh,
they have to be part of our family and our group, if that's going to be the case. And basically, Andrew's mum is in Newark, so Robin Hood Place. So I'm in London, 2.5 hours away. So they're forming a group with his sister. And so it means that, we don't know who they're going to be connecting with. So it limits everybody else in the field. So, yeah, no, we can't. We're going to much stringent lockdown now today.
Yeah, we too. From today, that's why my son is at home now again. Everything is shut. Only the shops for food are open, and the pharmacist and and some doctors, of course, for emergencies. But yeah, we are also in a harsh lockdown now, at least until January, the second week.
Yeah.
Oh yes, everything is different.
I mean, our hairdressers are still open, so we're not in that. We're not in as seems like as harsh as yours.
So, yeah, it's very harsh one. From today onwards again, like it was at the very beginning where everything was shut. It's the same here.
But it would be normal Christmas holidays anyway there now, wouldn't it? Don't you have holidays over the Christmas period?
After Friday, and only for 2 weeks, but now it started today already, and it is prolonged into the second week of January, so it's almost a month.
Very long.
So it's already double as long as it originally was planned, the Christmas holidays. And tomorrow we have to do our first homeschooling via Zoom with the teachers. So, I mean, it's not surprising. I've been seeing it coming because it's going to revolutionize the whole school system anyway.
Yeah.
I never expected it's going to go back just to normal, because it's not. We are in a big transition period. Yeah. And that's why I feel actually, I mean, like we're doing now, we're doing everything on Zoom, and we build our online business and coaching business. And in that way, I can pass on this knowledge to my son, because this is the future, doing online schooling more and more and in your own time and period. And it requires a lot of responsibility from your own. But this is the future. I'm certain of it. And this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's not easy, like all transition periods. I mean, I'm glad I've got only one child. I have got friends who have got many more children, different ages. It's an enormous challenge on them and hardship. I mean, if you're working as well, what are you supposed to do? Like so many losing their job. I have to stay at home to teach the kids,
Yeah. Someone has to be there.
Someone has to be there. Definitely. It's not easy, especially like when they've got many kids, like the little babies, and then you have to accommodate like somebody older, and crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be a real challenge, and that's why we've got the Harmonious one today.
Yes. It's another one from my 7 Bereginis. She's on the bottom. She's from my roots.
Yes.
The Harmonious one. She stands for the for the middle word.
Yes.
The 7th circle. And you've been most recently embroidering her as well.
Yes, I embroidered her just recently, but we will do another one today, because we do these things. And she'll mean something differently for me today. Whereas before there was a different situation. So I'm wondering what she will bring me. Yes. And what will transpire in the way it has. Yeah. Looking forward.
Because each time when we connect is something different. So
and we're different. Curious. Every minute of the day we're different, aren't we?
That's true. So, with every breath.
Yes, every breath. Oh, how poetic is that? It is a profound, I know it seems very glib, but it is a very profound thing when you just think about it. Every breath, you're different. Every moment.
You're different. That's what it means to live in the moment. People always just know it from gurus like Eckhart Tolle. We live in the now.
Yeah.
That is the reality. That
Yeah.
moment with the in and out breath, the in between space, we are being renewed. And then it's an every moment an invitation to become present to the
Yeah.
breath. And every meditation practice, breath meditation, exactly this, when we learn like to hold our breath until 4, and then you raise it until 6, and then until 9, those moments become just a bit longer
Longer.
to be really
Mm.
present with the divine, which
Mm.
breathes us. Yeah, and that's how it becomes a reality, and not just like, oh yeah, we are being refreshed. This is when this big consciousness is flooding us, and we're becoming bigger and bigger to hold this like love, which we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
And then it becomes really embodied and not just a concept like, yeah, it sounds nice.
Yeah. Yeah. And it can be very easy. I mean, I know that Facebook is flooded with so many things that are, everybody sending so many things. But the thing is, there are some very simple things. If you just nail it down to a couple of 1 or 2 things and just really focus on that. And one is just focusing on the breath, just focusing on the moment, and knowing that each moment is different. And that in itself is a meditation.
Yes.
A meditation, an invitation, and an inspiration.
Yeah, that's
So
how it becomes a living meditation. At
mm,
some point, you realize that every step, every breath, you are the meditation,
yeah,
and being just
and it
conscious.
breathes you. It breathes you rather than you breathe it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I know. I'm just going already in to that nice space.
Yes.
Before I even, how for a minute you just kind of go, oh yes, let's just stay there. Let's just stay there in that moment. So nice.
Let's just stay in this moment again and again. And with the light on,
Yeah.
the harmonious, breathing her in,
Let's put
the
this on.
harmonious.
I'm just going to put that on in a minute. Mm.
So may all beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. May all beings remain free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May all beings remain connected to sacred joy and happiness that is totally free from sorrow. May all beings come to rest in feeling of security and peace. May all beings be happy, content, and fulfilled. And so be it.
So be it.
And in harmony.
Yes.
And then automatically the harmony is there. The state is there.
Do you want to do the affirmation and then I can just get running in the interim?
Yes.
Okay.
So the harmonious.
Yeah.
I know what I can and do it with passion. The symbol can be used for difficult conversations or to overcome difficult situations, to set up goals and to achieve those.
Something changed here. I really do love the way the 4 hearts come together. the 4 chambers of the heart.
Mm. Yes. I love it too. I think everybody loves that. I think we received the most hearts as well, like for this one. Or like I just checked, like 4 people love the heart symbol, the harmonious one. Just by looking at it, it activates the 4 chambers of the heart.
And I think what's really useful, I'm just going to go into anatomy here for a moment, but it's again a fundamental understanding of what is what we do. So the heart receives back and then it gives. It receives first, gets oxygen, and then it gives. So it's such an important metaphor to think about, we have to receive. And so often, a lot of conditioning for women is that they don't receive. And so for themselves, they, if they take something, it's often not because they're receiving it for them. They're receiving it because it's given, but they may not necessarily want it as much. And so it's really about truly celebrating and receiving you and receiving what's coming back from you. And then energizing it and sending it away around your body again. It's such an important, for me, it's so important to pay attention to those 3 things, because you have the receiving part, and then you have a sending part to the lungs, and then you have it come back. I'm doing a natural heart, as you can see, come back to the other side of the heart, and through the atria, and then it goes into the ventricles and out again. So you have this kind of a heart reflecting the heart, if that makes sense.
Well, this is what you describe as the lovey heart. Where is my lovey heart? There. I've shown it before. That's exactly the lovey heart system. You can do rituals by laying this symbol worldwide, and it's exactly this. You're inviting the left hand heart, but without disconnecting, you go to the original point and then the masculine. And just simply by doing this movement, you create the resonance of what you're speaking about. That it's all one. And I love synchronicities, this lovely heart. And I was just today reading, I'm doing a course, Reclaiming Eros, from the book, based on the book by Mark Gaffney and Christina Kirkade, Return of Eros. And today's lecture was like receiving and giving is one. And with the example of a kiss. Because when we're kissing, we don't think about, oh, now I'm giving and I get so much in return. And this is exactly this example, like kissing, or what you just said with the heart, or like this one. It is all one. Or like the in and out breath is still one in one breath, or one with the source which is breathing us in every moment. I think just the kiss is a metaphor which is more embodied, where people can more grasp it, because we all kissed probably at some point in our life. I hope so anyway. But the core of it is the same. Because it's this unifying feeling of the in-between, between the receiving and giving, where we feel this like, wow, this opening of the love, which is breathing us and spirit. And that's when we're in the highest resonance.
Yeah. So it's just interesting as you look at it and as you feel it, it does inspire that contemplation to come in. And we've got very beautiful. You'll see it when it comes into the thing, but it's purple there, purple at the bottom, So
But it's a nice circle. There has never been such a circle like today.
Yeah, there's a circle. And it's the circle outside is the violet flame. So it's violet the whole way around. And then we've got green and blue. So that's interesting because obviously blue is the color of chesed, which is the color of love, technically in the Kabbalah. And green is also the color of love in the Kabbalah, but you have two kinds of love. You have what you call supernal love, which is a love beyond. It's kind of like that true unconditional love. And then you get an earthly love, which is netzach, and that sits underneath chesed. So you have two kinds of love. So netzach is more feeling, so the embodied feeling of love. Whereas the other one is this, when you think of Amma, or you think of the Buddha, you think of the Christ consciousness, that kind of love, that very high order love, which when you are starting to, as you're experiencing now more, as you are the eagle, as you start to notice you don't disconnect from your feeling, but that you're still with that love, but you've now gone to another space in that love. The love is kind of expanded into something in a higher potential, if that makes sense. So that's what that is, the difference between the two kinds of love. So the blue and the green are there, and I love it because there is white in around the circle as well, which is spiritual ways, and the purple around the edges. So it's pretty spectacular, really.
Wow. Yeah, and I just love this like harmonizing circle around it.
Yes. Well, we'll see what happens after with the balance, what will transpire. But I certainly, I mean, this is really saying that this moment of being, we're in a good space. So it feels like the space is at a nice frequency, because we are, when it starts to resonate, it'll go through layers. So it'll be working on different layers as it goes, and it clears and does whatever it's going to do. So it either will raise the layer to give it more energy, or it's dipped into a new layer. So yeah, but the color is very, very powerful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to set it up to balance.
So we breathe that in.
Exactly.
The harmonious energy.
It's doing the balance. I've got the sound down, but that's what it sounds like with the frequencies.
Sounds like a dialing phone.
Well, they actually made it much nicer, because if you've listened to the actual frequency sounds of a sine wave or whatever, it actually sounds really almost disharmonious. So that what they've done is they've converted it more so it's more musical, rather than having it the real sound, which is bzz, 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 sort of sound.
Yeah, so I have drawn the card. In the meantime, it's the standstill, which is so fitting.
Yes.
For me, this is like really concentrating on the in-between, the in and out breath we just talked about. And often we have to slow down to feel this love flooding through us and the source. It's like focusing on the in-between of breath, it takes a standstill.
Yeah. It does.
And then the door opens, portal, and then it's like the portal of the heart, and everything is open then to receive the love the wisdom, anything what serves us.
I'm curious, and that's maybe a question to ask you, but I know when we think about love, we think about the love from the heart and this sort of region, but I know that you've been doing a lot of work with your womb. So how does that differ? So when there's a love from the heart, what's the love from a womb like? I'm curious.
That's how I'm saying, like, then you're experiencing the love on all levels.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
I cannot say it's only from the heart. That's why I stressed many times in the before. It's like, for me, I don't experience it only in my heart.
Yeah.
It's a very potent portal, because it's also in the middle of our body. It combines all
Hmm.
the different
Hmm.
energy centers, and it's a very important portal.
Mm.
But if all your energy centers
Energies.
open, wherever you focus your attention, in the moment you feel this love everywhere. So
Mm.
if I do my
Mm.
womb work or sing my womb song, then I really feel in the womb space all the love. Yeah. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
and if I breathe it into the heart, then it's in the heart. And that's a very nice practice, where we can send love to every, everywhere in our body, where we can
Hmm.
also
Yeah.
hear certain parts. Like at the moment, I send a lot of love to my right hand breast, and like for the lumps, to really send love there, or to a certain person. And we can direct it anywhere, because it's all
Yeah.
present, it's everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think it takes practice to first go inside, and some people, I think, they probably feel it in different parts more than others, and to start develop your own way of
Mm.
how you can activate the love,
Yeah.
and then yeah, it's everywhere.
Yeah. 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 I know that when I do meditations and things like that, I certainly find that when I focus on the love and then focus in another area, it's almost like that area gets a great big burst of energy, and I feel it much, much stronger. So there's something about how what happens is when you send the power to something and give love, how much more powerful it becomes in the experience. Well, certainly for me, that it does that.
Mhm.
So yeah, that's quite interesting, and how we can use that to yeah, to transform, really, because that's what love does, doesn't it? It transforms the whole thing. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes, it transforms everything, and then we are in this all loving, like an eagle state, or the observer
Yeah.
state, which is like the spirit. I mean, the spirit observes and guards over all of us. For me, it's more like a loving mother. Some people see it as like more male gods. For me, it's like a loving mother who's like just
Yeah.
holding us all. That's why in Siberian shamanism is Umai. We're working intensively with Umai for this month. And yeah, and Uma sits in her yurt, her
Yeah.
house, and it's like this protective mama bear. That's why she's got a mama bear around the yurt. And yeah, or like in Kabbalah, in Kabbalistic mysticism is the Shekinah. She is the
Mm.
one who, yeah, who has got only unconditional love for us
Yeah. It's
humans.
interesting, but we know now the Shekinah is the conversion of the goddess Asura. So we know that's how they incorporated or allowed it to become acceptable in a sense. So they made the Shekinah that way, which is interesting, because the
Mm,
Shekinah is feminine in the Kabbalah.
exactly.
So yeah, but it's Asra, Asara. So it's the one that was yeah, the
Abolished.
other tree of life, the other tree in the Garden of Eden. So very interesting.
Has been practically abolished. But in this
Mm.
like Kabbalistic mysticism, she has always been present.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Because the you can't, truth is truth, isn't it? Truth is truth, and it's and when you've experienced the God and the goddess in different ways, and this is the book that I really found one of my most profound books I ever read, which was the science of spirituality. And they were looking at the what happens in a mystical experience, what really happens. And I know that Joe Dispenza sort of talks about the gamma rays and the fact that the gamma waves come up, but there's a moment before that, and actually there's a shifting from one side of the brain to the other. And what seems to be is that when it shifts to the left, we will hear more a male aspect of God. And you hear a single locus, a single voice, a single whatever. But when it shifts to the right, the more heart work we do, it shifts to the right. And what happens is we have this all-bodied experience, like being held by the whole universe. And it's very different, but we have both. And
yeah, that's why it's the masculine and the feminine.
Yeah, yeah. So it depends on which way, when we're meditating, whether we will get one or the other, which is really curious, isn't it? That we actually can have both if we play around. We can get to learn both the mother and the father in a very different way, and then utilize that knowledge. Yeah, which obviously is quite profound. So if say, for example, one of the they shifted and did say Netzach or Chesed on the tree, then what would have happened is they would have experienced the feminine, yeah, because they would have gone into the heart space. But if they had gone more to the strength and the thought on the left side of the tree, they would have gone, well, the left side, we look at this tree at the backward way, so it's slightly different. If you reversed it, we would be doing, the left is actually the left of the brain in the Kabbalah, because we look at it, you look at it backwards, so from the back. So it's really interesting. So it absolutely mimics how our physiology is.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the whole journey is to take you through each of these, so that you get to know the mother, you get to know the father, and then you get to know the whole truth.
Exactly. Yeah, and the very old mystics, they don't go linear, like now this is the left, this is the right. It's what they call what is that? I forgot the name. Something with wave, sing wave, like the shaman Thunder Wizard.
Singularity?
No, it's like a very old word for you jump. It's like, because we are made out of strings. It's a special word, like song sting wave or something. I can look it up.
When it
and
comes,
I learned from him this very old 9 knots spell, for example, is a very old Anglo-Saxon spell, and that's where you jump. It could be like the Yggdrasil with the 9 worlds or the 9 energy centers in our body, and you don't go in a linear manner.
No.
From root and the sacral area. No, you jump from the top to the bottom, or you jump from left to right, and this is how our energy actually works. It's not linear, but we need some to go to bodily linear experience, because we are in a dual world. Our bodies live in a dual middle world. So we have got the masculine and we have got the feminine, and we need to do lots of practices to incorporate those energies in our bodies.
Yeah.
And once you incorporate it, then from the state of unity, then you can jump wherever you like. And it goes very quickly, because you're integrated and transcended those energy within yourself. And then it's really like ping pong, tuk, 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 and you can do it really, really quickly.
Yeah.
But in order to be able to do that, you need to go through these practices for sure. Otherwise, you cannot grasp it. Like,
Yeah.
and you cannot also send love to this area or even outside of your body somewhere if you have not incorporated within yourself first those parts.
Yeah. And you've got to find them. Yeah. Sometimes it's really about, because there are a lot of people that don't love themselves. They feel, it's quite hard to find love when you don't have a reference for it as well. So it's really, sometimes it's little tiny steps before they can get enough anchorage to be able to jump into the next layer. And yeah, so that may be something that's so important, is to understand that everybody will be at a space at some level where, and most of it is, we don't move forward because we don't love ourselves somewhere along the line. And it's,
Yes.
or we're looking at ourselves and we're seeing ourselves as less than. And really, yeah, it's hard to say don't compare yourself to anyone, but we're not here to compare ourselves with anyone.
I'm listening, and I'm
just
also starting to embroider.
Yeah. So are you going to draw a rune?
Yeah, or do you want to do the tarot card? What do you feel?
I don't mind. I've drew the tarot card. So while you do your needle,
You
while
can
you thread,
then you can already tell us about the tarot cards.
Okay, so I drew Jupiter of the golden earth, so pentacles again, alchemy of the 4 of pentacles. What did we have yesterday?
Oh, yesterday there was Mars of starry something.
Okay. Was it the 4 yesterday as well?
Yes, there was Mars of the, yes, it was 4
or
as
was
well.
it 5? I can't remember. It was 4, 5. But
no, I think it was 4.
So we're again in Chesed, in love. So Chesed is number 4. So it's love, and we got love there. So it sits quite well. So this one, so if it, because why I said the question is, it's actually the same image at the bottom, but what's missing is this bit. Remember in yesterday's one, there were 2 people on the side here. Oh, there we are, on the side. And they were looking as though the soldiers were, they were looking on. So, but the 4 of Pentacles is obviously, it sits as clubs, or it sits as, it's a money card or a wealth card. So it's an earth card of the golden earth. And the 4 is, if you, in the Rider-Waite, you have the 4, the 1 pentacle sits above. He's holding the pentacle here in his hands like this, sort of holding it like this, but he's holding it here. And then he's got 2 pentacles at his feet. It's quite a solid card. So it really is the kind of card where when people make it and they're still holding on to the structure. So it's kind of like when we reach a level of safety, there's time to be there, but we need to move again, right? To evolve, we need to move out of safety. So the 4 is saying, you've got the safety, you've got those things, but now you must move out. Now you must move again. You need to let go now, because otherwise you're going to stay stuck in this space. And it can be very easy to be in that place, because
it's about leaving the comfort zone.
It's about leaving the comfort zone.
It's like the seed which is ready after setting the roots has to leave the Mother Earth, the safety of the soul.
Yeah.
And we humans as well, we get sometimes very comfortable in where we are.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's what that one is really sort of about.
I like the violet. or indigo lights around it. And all good things happen outside the comfort zone, as we know.
Well, we're here to grow, aren't we? We're here to as much as we might want to stay in one space for a little while, and it's good to stay there occasionally to be there, but we're designed to be discontent so that we will move on. That's what we're designed for. So it's a useful bit of information when we kind of find ourselves not quite as content as we would expect to be. And that's because, I don't know whether if you remember when Sammy was very small, babies basically because they're such a sponge, they learn very, very, very quickly, and they get bored very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And that's because they've learned, and their body is saying, I'm my little dopamine hit, I want to change. And so with children, they've learned a stimulus the moment they start kind of not looking at it anymore. so for the first bits of novelty, they're very excited, and then they don't. So it's quite.
Oh yes, I remember that very well.
And we're designed to do this. And when we get older, we probably don't feel the discontent early enough that gets us moving again.
Yes. It's like this week's weekly rune is Algiers, and my group Co-Creative Destiny Weaving. I always write about the weekly runes.
Yeah.
And yesterday, on Tuesday, it's all about setting roots, where I find the runes very helpful to setting down roots. And I always send like some questions from my rune sister in her book, Rune Play. Yeah. She's got fantastic questions. And yesterday question was to around Algiers, which is like this tree with the open crown, but we can only receive as much from above divine self as we are grounded. And your question today was, where are you too rooted, or where are you too loosely flying around, where are two wings and where are you too rooted? And sometimes what you describe is like you can be so comfortable with your roots that you don't move forward to change.
Yeah.
Whilst change is the only security which we have, because everything is constantly only changing. But I observe that as well. The older we get, the more difficult it gets to open ourselves up to something new.
Yeah. Oh, trust me, I know that one well. That's a very Taurus kind of as well.
What do you mean?
Well, Tauruses, they because they're ruled by the planet Venus, they like to be rooted. And I was really interested. I was reading an article that someone sent to me about the snake, and really that there's also something about where are you not, because the snake, if you think about snakes, they are very they're actually very dry. People think of them as being very slimy and slippery, but actually snakes are very, very dry.
Very dry.
And I know. Yes, you would know.
Well, we visited the local reptilian zoo like 30 times.
But
we certainly know, because my son is a snake lover.
But have you? I mean, you've got. But have you got snakes at home or not?
No, we don't have it. Even though this is the biggest dream of my son, but I'm a vegetarian, and I refuse to be responsible to feed them like living mice and things like that.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't want to do it. And then I said to him, If you want to be solely responsible for that, then okay, we can think about that. But I know that most of the time it's the parents who have to do it, and I totally refuse to do it.
Yeah.
And for that reason, we don't have snakes. We always visited them in the reptilian zoo. We even like being like, you have like a patent like for snakes there, like
Yeah.
you pay a certain amount and then you kind of like a parent for
Oh, right. So you adopt a snake.
we adopted a snake. But now everything changed with Corona and everything, so that closed as well. So
he's not seeing his snake. But
no.
yeah, so I was just reading up about the snake yesterday because there was some interesting information. But also, it's about where are you carrying too much stuff and where are you not slippery enough.
Uh-huh.
Because snakes they dry so that they don't gather dust,
Mm-hmm.
so they can move. So I hadn't really thought about that actually, but it's it makes perfect sense.
Well, and they shed skin at least
And
4 times a year. I mean, this is the best renewal practice you can have. Like a really renewal practice. Like you cannot go more under the skin than actually losing your skin. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're the shapeshifters par excellence, the snakes. That's for sure.
Yeah, they certainly are.
And speak about runes. Today's rune is the Tivash.
Right.
We had that before. It's the warrior rune. It stands for the god Tiv, who lost his, I think, left arm when fighting against the wolf Fenris. And in this, and the Norse legends, the wolf Fenris is a bad one. It stands for like this, like, yeah, like outside challenges, which we are like, our ego sometimes likes to leave us and get us to go on wrong road path.
All right. Yes.
And here this warrior Tiv, which is like the greatest warrior in Norse legend, he even loses his left arm or right one, I'm not sure, to fend off this wolf.
It kind of like reminds me of a parable where someone says you must, if your left hand is not doing what it should, if the left hand's not working with your right, then you cut your left hand off. There's something about that I remember, about cutting away what's not serving you. I know it's literal, but it was literally done in some places. But it's just it's kind of that's running in my mind now that you're talking about that.
We had this tarot card just recently as well, which looked very gruesome. The person who cut off the body, but the meaning is the same. Like sometimes have to cut off that what does not serve us.
Yeah.
And it's like fairy tales or old legends that sometimes appear gruesome, but we are not meant to take them literal. It's just to have this image to take with us in a different way, like because our soul works in images.
Yeah.
Or not necessarily like you have to actually go and do this kind of gruesome things, of course not. But it activates certain areas within our soul, which work like in those kind of metaphors. And a lot of fairy tales appear very gruesome as well. But I always loved fairy tales, and I still like also for Samia, I'm always reading fairy tales, and of course I've got a YouTube playlist with like for years of reading fairy tales. And they've got much deeper psychological meanings always. And
Yeah.
interestingly, Semi has never been afraid listening to the old fairy tales, even if they appear like to a logical mind, they always appear, oh my God, how can in Hansel and Gretel, this old woman push them into the oven, for example,
Exactly.
and the logical mind would think, no, this is gruesome. And there's still discussions to eradicate all these fairy tales or rewrite them and everything. I think like, no, the children don't think like that. They're not thinking with a logical mind.
No.
They go much deeper. And what stays with them is like, they are so clever, those two, the boy and the girl, Hansel and Gretel, that they
Following the
can
trail.
even like push the woman, the old woman into the oven and things like that. That's what stays with them, and how to work together and to be clever, yeah, and not those gruesome things which we interpret them.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. I think that you hear about, and the one that kind of always runs up for me is the idea of Goldilocks and the Three Bears.
Uh-huh.
And you kind of think, oh, Goldilocks runs away, but then you kind of go, well, why did Goldilocks go into the house in the first place? Wasn't a home to go into. But so there's all sorts of things about information that sits there. That's a very interesting information that you can look at and look at how people might interpret that.
Well, it's an invitation to go deeper and to find your own deeper sense. And I mean, I'm always open to rewrite stories as well, definitely. But not from the very beginning, throw away, like they say, the baby with the bathing water, with the bathing.
No, I mean, the whole story is there just to give us, to activate some part of our inner realm, isn't it? And give you a sense of what that might mean or not mean. I mean, I love the story of Pandora's box.
Mm-hmm.
And it is, it's quite sad and it's scary, but faith comes out of the box, and you think how hard faith must have been and how desperate faith, let me out, let me out, let me out. And the person who'd let all the sorrow and the pain out, the last thing they wanted to do was to trust, to let another one out. And they did. And that's really the key, that even when it's so scary and you've done such terrible things maybe, or you've hurt yourself in such, there is still the opportunity to open the door, to open the box, to find that. And I love that parable. I love it.
Yes.
Such a powerful parable.
True. Yeah. And it's coming up to an hour again, Shireen.
Oh my goodness me. Oh goodness. How does this happen so fast?
In a way, it appears faster and faster in a way. So what are your closing thoughts for today?
My closing thoughts are: be still. Just be still and wait. To be still, ask, and wait. Yeah, wait to receive. That feels, for me, because we've had the break, you've had that very still person. We need the intention of why we're going there, and wait and receive.
So be still and wait. To receive. Yeah, what comes up? And for me, it's like this symbol of the harmonious, and what we started to talk about in the beginning, that receiving and giving is one. And it's like this, like the harmony happens in the middle where they all meet between giving and receiving.
Yes, yes, yes,
Um,
yes.
So giving and receiving is one, and we are in resonance.
So we've got what's come into mainly gold. The green is kind of greeny gold and more sort of orange gold and a little bit of purple. So it's changed quite a lot in that, but it's a very nice frequency, light, very light frequency.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that. I always like it when gold is around anyway.
Yeah.
For me, it's just always nice.
Such a noble color, gold.
Yeah. But it, we know that gold is partly is the mixture of the colors going upward into the higher realms. So it makes sense. So gold is in the frequency, gold is yellow, which is the sun, the solar chakra, moving up into the slight bit of red, which gold has. So a little bit of the courage of the heart. And actually quite a lot that's coming up from this, depending on the color gold, whether you have more bronze or you have more rose color or more orange gold, yeah, will be what kind of, where that is in relation to where it might be tapping in. So grounding and doing that, bringing a deeper gold in. Nice. Nice. So your one is about the in and the out is all one.
Yeah. And receiving and giving is all one. Like a kiss, or like the harmonious one for us. May the harmonious one be with us today. And every day and every moment, because then in every moment, if we're conscious and concentrate on the in-between, where all is one, where love is always present, yeah, then we are truly harmonious.
We are. Yeah. And yeah. If we think about it as that all in one, it really does. Yeah. I think when I think about breakthrough happens when you bring all the information together and it just kind of becomes like an aha moment. Like an aha. And I think that in my sense, ahas are when almost like your the left and the right brain, that space communicating the corpus callosum that goes between them, which is a thick, dense neural thing. It's like that grows and it expands. So this information is almost like it's going harmoniously between the two brains. Is my thinking. And I was listening to Nassim Haramein, and he was also saying, yes, when he kind of talked about the thinking and that kind of the new way of thinking. He said, yes, it's like my left and my right brain start talking to each other.
Yes.
And you have this harmony or this music that goes between the two. So they're not separate anymore. They're working as a unified whole.
Mm.
Mm.
Yes. And instead, like he says, may the vacuum be with you.
Yes.
We say, may the harmonious be with us today and every day.
Yes.
So have a nice rest of the day.
Yes.
And
I
see you
hope everyone
tomorrow.
does. And we look forward to seeing those amazing Bereginis that people are making.
Or anything else what comes up.
Anything else? What comes up? Yes. Yours was amazing. I loved your hearts yesterday. It was
Thank
amazing.
you.
Yes.
Thank you. I love them all in their own uniqueness. And
Yeah. But what really comes up is what's coming up, what's emerging.
exactly.
It's just how different for everyone, and how healing that is, and how powerful it is. Something so simple and
Exactly.
yet so powerful. Yes, Occam's razor. The simplest solution is probably the right one. Yeah, the simplest, the easiest to do. Breathing is very easy. We've done it all our life. Yeah.
Mhm.
Good. Well, thank you,
Thank you.
and we'll see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow. Everybody
Yeah.
else as well. Many blessings.
Yeah. See you
Mwah.
all. Many blessings. Bye bye. Thank you for being with us.
Exactly.